Now, Tuesday morning, there was a panic attack among opposition MPs, and many took to Twitter or X to claim that their iPhones have been hacked. Why? Because they have got a threat notification from Apple on their iMessages app and email stating that their phones may be a victim of state-sponsored cyber attack. Now, the state-sponsored cyber attack mostly means that your phone, somebody is spying on your phone, and it is a government entity or a state government, a state entity. This might be any government or any player that can afford softwares like the Pegasus. For your information, to use Pegasus, somebody needs to spend around rupees 10 crore per user to snoop on somebody using a software like Pegasus. Now, what is this Apple threat notification all about? Should the MPs actually be scared about this notification? And what about those who haven't got the notification in the first place because they might be using an Android phone? And is it something to be taken very seriously? How this notification works? Let's find out. Now, this entire Apple threat notification was something that was introduced by Apple in November 2021. Remember, that was the time when the entire Pegasus controversy was going on. Pegasus is a highly sophisticated snoopware or a spyware that was developed in Israel, and that is pretty potent. You know, to attack somebody using Pegasus, you need not call that person or send a message or something. You can just tap on the phone. The entire malware can get transferred. It can be transferred wirelessly, remotely, and you can even just get an email and get the Pegasus malware can infect your device. Now, that scare was there. It was real during that time, and both Apple and Google had come out with this threat notification saying that if something big scale attack, cyber attack like this is visible, or there is some signals that is visible, then they will alert users. And that is how the entire Apple threat notification platform was created, and it was evolved over time, like over iOS 16 and iOS 17. Of course, it's needless to say that you will have to get the latest version of iOS to get the maximum protection. But just having the threat notification doesn't mean that your iPhone is protected. Nobody is saying that, hey, Apple is fully secured, and if you're using an iPhone, you can never get hacked, and only you can get hacked if you use an Android phone. The story is not like that. Apple is simply saying that if a large-scale attack happens, then they get signals, and if those signals matches, we will just alert you, and we will give you certain options to disable your phone so that your phone can be saved and your data can be saved. Now, there is one option called lockdown mode in every iPhone. If you are using any iPhone with iOS 17, there is a lockdown mode which prevents Apple's ecosystem apps from transmitting data, but there is no guarantee whether your WhatsApp data gets transmitted or not. So there is a lockdown mode as well. Now, talking about the Apple threat notification, of course, this is not a notification that just simply comes. There has to be some reason as to why this notification appeared in the first place. Now, Apple has come up with their official statement. They're not exactly saying how or why this notification was issued to Indian users. First things first, the notifications are for real. The threat notifications are for real. Now, let's understand a bit as to how this threat notification works. In a normal malware instance, you know, if you're getting a simple spyware or a malware, somebody who's trying to just take your location or something like that, some banking scams that is trying to happen on your phone, those signals are very minimal. Those are not a large scale, those doesn't come from a large scale command and control center. And this is those signals. If something large scale is happening, this signals Apple's servers that, hey, this is not a normal cyber attack that is happening. This is pretty much targeted to one user only or a section of users. Like I mentioned, using softwares like Pegasus requires a lot of money that the normal hackers can't afford. To use Pegasus on one user, it costs 10 crore rupees. So you can totally understand as to how this conversation is going forward to. This kind of money only certain, group of organizations or governments can only afford, and which government, how it happens, Apple has never revealed, and they will never reveal perhaps. Because the simple reason Apple has an explanation saying that if Apple states as to how the threat notifications are issued, then the hackers will also get to know that how Apple is detecting them. So to prevent that from happening, to prevent hackers from knowing how this threat notification works, Apple will not be disclosing this. So right now, Apple has also mentioned that if you're getting a threat notification, that doesn't mean that your phone is getting hacked, your iPhone is getting hacked. It might be a false alarm as well. But There are a couple of things that you should be understanding by now. First things first, just because you're getting a threat notification doesn't mean your iPhone is going to get hacked or is being hacked. Secondly, iPhones are not foolproof. If just you're getting a threat notification, of course you don't get a threat notification on Android phones, but just because you're getting a threat notification doesn't mean you buy an iPhone and it'll be your data and everything is protected. In a state-sponsored attack, it's pretty large and it's always evolving, and there are new technologies and there are new means of brute force that is used to get into your phone. So they are always one step ahead in that kind of technology, and it is not possible always for Apple to say that, to guarantee Apple that your iPhones will not be hacked. Now, there could be a false alarm. Number two, your iPhones may be hacked. Number three, the attacker was there, they got alerted, and now the hacking has stopped. Either ways, in these three conditions, what Apple has done is something that Android players have not, Android brands or Google particularly haven't done. That is providing a lockdown mode. If you go to your settings, if you're using an iPhone, if you go to your settings, or if you're using an iPad or a Mac, in fact, there is something called a lockdown mode on your phone. All you do is go to settings, go to privacy, and the last option, if you scroll down to the last option on your phone, you will see a lockdown mode. What that does is it tries to cut off or minimize all kinds of unnecessary contact that external apps or external servers may be having with your iPhone. For example, if your phone is in lockdown mode, you can of course converse through normal messages. You take phones, receive phone calls as well, because that is totally related to your SIM. But if you're using the lockdown mode, you can't use FaceTime the way you used to. Only those people whom you have already contacted on FaceTime can be contacted using the FaceTime when your phone is in lockdown mode. Now, secondly, if you're using messages, if you're trying to send attachments by using message, or if somebody is sending any attachment via iMessage, those attachments will automatically get blocked in lockdown mode. There's a lot of restrictions in the Photos app as well as whatever photos that you click and if you send, the location is kept hidden. Apple will not send the locations in lockdown mode. So there is a nifty bunch of features to prevent your phone basically to prevent further damage in the lockdown phone of an iPhone, iPad or Mac. This lockdown mode can be turned off anytime you want to. It's not that you have just put your phone on lockdown doesn't mean you have to throw away your iPhone and you have to buy a new one. You can obviously turn it off, but it is the main aspect of the lockdown mode is to protect your data from further getting impacted. Now, coming back to the threat notifications bit. Threat notifications is, like I mentioned, it was something introduced in November 2021, and since then Apple has issued this threat notifications across 150 countries. That's right, 150 countries. People across 150 countries have received this threat notification. But right now, today's threat notification seems like to be only limited to Indian users and certain Indian users only. But we still don't know. Just because somebody has taken to Twitter and claimed that they have got a threat notification on Apple doesn't mean they are the only people who have got a threat notification. Of course, we know a couple of MPs and few journalists have also got a similar threat notification. But these threat notifications, like Apple says, can be false alarm as well. Just because, like I mentioned, just because you got a threat notification doesn't mean your iPhone is threatened. And if you are worried about the privacy of your data, if you are worried about what happens, should I call somebody, should I talk to somebody, is my conversation private, then you can of course enable the lockdown mode on your iPhone. Now, of course, with these features, Apple makes one point clear, that at least you'll get to understand that whether a state-sponsored attacker is trying to get inside your iPhone or not. But when it comes to Android, you don't even have that option. But at this point of time, all that you should be knowing that if you have got this threat notification from Apple, the only thing that you should be worried about is your personal data. Of course, you can change the password of your iCloud. You can change the passkeys of your iPhone as well. But the number one thing that you should be doing is putting your iPhone and iPad in a lockdown mode. The lockdown mode will be really effective in preventing further damage. And like I said, when it comes to malwares and spywares like the Pegasus, you really can't be certain as to how the infection spreads, because if it taps in one device, we have seen this happening, that this Pegasus malware spreads on other devices as well. And maybe if you're connecting your iPhone to your Mac or your other laptop, or if you're connecting to other phones in the vicinity may also get impacted by the Pegasus-like malware. Now, nobody is saying that this is a Pegasus attack, number one. Nobody is saying this is a state-sponsored attack. Now, state-sponsored attack, in a way, is like could be an organization as well. State-sponsored attack doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a country. It can be an organization, whoever can afford that kind of money. For reference, 10 crore rupees per user. Whoever can afford that kind of money can be termed as a state-sponsored attacker. As far as this entire Apple threat notification issue has been, this is a huge political issue right now. But let's get to the tech part of it. Apple, the one who has actually issued this notification, they have claimed no responsibility whatsoever. They have categorically said in their statement that these may be false alarms as well, and we will not disclose, Apple will not disclose why these threat notifications were sent, who are the threat actors or anything like that. The only excuse they have is like, if we share details like this, then all bad actors across the world, all state-sponsored cyber attackers, they will get to know as to how this entire Apple intelligence system around cybersecurity works, and this might be counterproductive for Apple to prevent future breaches like this. But right now, if you're having an iPhone and if you're by chance getting any threat notification alert on your iPhone or any of your Apple devices, then please turn on the lockdown mode. Remember, the threat notification only comes from the apple.com ID. Do not fall for any kind of phishing scams or any kind of clickbait attempts to get your banking history or Apple iCloud passwords, because this notification only comes either on your iMessage or on your email, and that has an apple.com domain, not in a random Apple123 or appleworldwide.com, nothing like that, apple.com domain. Firstly, verify whether the threat notification is for real. You can log into your desktop log into your iCloud on your desktop and check whether the notification is there or not, because the same notification will be visible on your desktop, on your iMessage mobile, as well as on your iPad, because that is totally linked to your iCloud account. Now, if that is there, the first thing you should be doing is putting your phone on lockdown, and then you might be thinking of factory resetting your phone and getting a new phone, but that won't be required, because if you're enabling the lockdown mode, your phone is already secured to a great extent, and whatever data that might have gone, you can't recover it. But remember that this can be a false alarm as well, because Apple is not accepting that this is for real and this is what something is happening. It was like that, hey, there is a notification, you might want to stay alert. But what has been compromised, what data has been compromised, who are the attackers, how the attack has happened, Apple has not disclosed.